Hello everyone, today I'm going to be going through my top 10 movies of 2023. So we're not going to waste any time. I have my top 10, my worst movie of the year, and an honourable mention. Just before we get started, if you enjoy this video, please do give it a like and comment below if you agree with my picks. So let's get started with my worst movie of the year for 2023. It was Evil Dead Rise. I love the Evil Dead series. I had a friend introduce me to it probably like a decade ago now. Love Army of Darkness, but this particular entry didn't really resonate with me at all. The characters make a lot of really stupid decisions, and it feels like overall the film is halfway between a gore fest and a more emotional film, and it doesn't really nail either of those. It kind of just falls flat in both regards. It takes way too long setting things up, and so it results in them having to kill off a bunch of characters really quickly because there's not much runtime left in the movie. So yeah, the rules of possession as well also seem very loose. Overall, it was just like a very frustrating movie for me to watch. So my least favorite movie of the year, unfortunately, goes to Evil Dead Rise. And my honorable mention for this year is actually going to go to The Marvels, the Marvel movie The Marvels. This was seen as the MCU or Marvel Cinematic Universe's low point at the time when it came out. But I've never really been that interested in the MCU, so I haven't had that much of a stake in it. So for me, jumping in without knowing anything about what was going on was actually kind of fun because it was all very novel to me. So I had a good time myself personally. Didn't make my top 10, but there were several like just bizarre scenes and memorable moments that make it stand out in my opinion. I think it's definitely better than people claim it to be as well. So not quite in my top 10, but I just wanted to give it an honorable mention because I think it's worth checking out. I don't think it deserves as much of the negative criticism that it got. Okay, with those out of the way, let's now get into the official top 10, starting with number 10. We have Saw X. So I am a big Saw fan. I've even done a video talking about the Saw movies, which I'll link somewhere up here. I'm very glad they made another Saw film, and safe to say with this one, they absolutely delivered. I would say this is one of the best entries in the entire Saw series, which is insane considering this is the 10th Saw film, not counting spin-offs. There's a lot of great setup and payoff as well. Even literally an establishing shot comes back later as payoff when he recognizes that location. So it's just general good filmmaking habits seeing like at work in the film, which was really great. It's set between Saw 2 and 3, which is great as well because Amanda is in it, who is personally my favorite Jigsaw helper. So it was very good to see her again. I hope they continue on with these films. I know there's been a bit of trouble getting Saw 11 off the ground, but I really hope they continue this because, I mean, Saw X was great. So if they can make something on par with Saw X, I would be very happy as a Saw fan. Moving on to number 9, we have the Super Mario Bros. Movie. This was a very safe movie, which is obvious given that it's made by Illumination, who I normally hate, but that's all I needed for this, really. I was very content with just having a nice, safe Super Mario Bros. Movie. My 12-year-old self is finally at rest now that this movie exists. You know, it's something you kind of dream of for having a while of like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing if we had a whole movie about the Super Mario Bros. That's not the one from the 80s. And now we do, so it's great. It does get too indulgent at points, like the Mario Kart scene. I think it was getting like too much for me, where I was like, okay, this is a little overboard. This is ridiculous. I think the plot could have been slowed down a little too. Though in saying that, I love that it is a short film. Like it's 90 minutes, I'm pretty sure, and it doesn't overstay its welcome, which is a good thing in a way. It has opened the floodgates for Nintendo films now, which hopefully ends up being a good thing. We'll see. But for a first foray, or first new foray into films by Nintendo, I think this is a good starting point. Fingers crossed we get some more films that are a little bit better than this one, and it only goes up from here. At number 8, we have The Wrath of Becky, which is the sequel to my favorite film from 2020, Becky. This one isn't as good. It's still a fun time, but I think it loses the feel of what made the original one unique for me personally. It has a bit less bite. Becky doesn't feel quite as cruel. Things just feel a little bit more tame than they did in the original, where it feels like it goes to another level. There's some fourth wall breaking as well, which just felt like a cheap imitation of other films rather than it trying to do its own thing, because it's just ultimately a worse execution of like fourth wall breaks that you see in other films. If there is a third film, I hope it gets more back on track, but regardless, I still had a great time with this one, hence being number 8 on the list. At number 7, we have Tetris, the Tetris biopic. I love biopics and I love films about video games, so I think it was inevitable that this would make the top 10 list. Even by the time I just started watching it, I was like, I'm probably going to like this movie. You don't even really need to look up the true account of events to know that this was most likely dramatized with some of the stuff that happens, given there's like a car chase in like Russia to the airport, but it doesn't feel egregious. I think that's probably the most far out it gets, where it was like, this doesn't seem like something that would have actually happened in real life. For the most part, it feels quite like grounded and believable in terms of the events that were actually taking place. I got my Tetris addiction flaring up a little bit after watching it as well. So, good video game biopic, definitely recommend, and hence why it's number 7 on my list. Coming in at number 6, we have the latest Poirot film, A Haunting in Venice, starring Kenneth Branagh. I love Poirot. I'm currently halfway through watching the TV series and I adore it, but the films have their own unique appeal to me that makes them separate to the TV series. Each film so far has a strong theme that the mystery is centered around, and I personally love when, whether it be in film or TV, when they ride the line between the natural and the supernatural, as well as the trope of the skeptic having his beliefs challenged. So all of that was contained nicely in this film. To be honest, it's probably a bit high up considering it's number 6 on my list, and the film isn't technically that well made, but for me personally, I had a good time with it. I think, as I mentioned, just those tropes being in play are what appealed to me a lot for this one. So number 6 is A Haunting in Venice. For number 5, we have the movie Poor Things, starring Emma Stone. It's not the most accessible film, and I wasn't sold myself personally at the start, but once you get into it, you do buy into the art direction and all the creative decisions, because it is a unique looking film between like the fisheye lenses and just the costume design. It's a very unique looking film. It kind of reminds me of like Terry Gilliam films in a way. I think what elevated this film for me as well was that it properly delves into its themes rather than briefly referencing them on a surface level. Considering that this is a more of like an artsy film, I appreciated that it does properly dive into it rather than just like lightly bringing it up and then not actually exploring it. Emma Stone and Mark Ruffalo are both fantastic in it. I think Emma Stone plays the role so well of a toddler in an adult's body, both in speech and mannerism, and as she progresses throughout the film, slowly changes like that acting as she learns more and becomes like a grown-up person. So seeing that like transition over time, like it's a very unique opportunity for an actor, and I think she did a really, really good job with it. And especially Mark Ruffalo as well is probably without a doubt my favorite Mark Ruffalo role is him in this. I don't particularly like him as an actor, but ironically, when he's playing a scumbag, I find his acting the most likable. He's just like such a dirtbag, and he made me laugh a lot in this movie. Just his acting, I thought, was really good without being too attention seeking or trying to like overpower the director. I think he did his role perfectly, and it absolutely shows because I really enjoyed Mark Ruffalo in this. Coming in at number 4, we have Wonka, the Timothy Chalamet movie. I was skeptical of this one before watching it, for sure. I think the idea of a Willy Wonka prequel on paper to me sounded like a terrible idea, and I wasn't really sold. But I gave it a shot anyway because it was directed by Paul King, who did Paddington 1 and 2, and I really love those movies, so I was like, alright, I'll give it a shot, why not? And now, after seeing this, I am fully sold on Paul King. I think the guy can direct whatever he wants, and I'd be willing to give it a go at this point. If you can make a Willy Wonka prequel this good, then yeah, I trust you to make anything, really. There's just such a pure sincerity in his films, and not an ounce of cynicism, which is so refreshing to have. Just a movie that you can kind of indulge in, that not even necessarily self-aware, but it's just a very happy movie, you know? There's no pessimism to it. Charming, heartwarming, songs are catchy. I loved Wonka, I had a good time. I'm pretty sure I watched it twice, actually, in theaters. I could be wrong about that, but I do, like, even just thinking of it now, like, some of the songs are coming back to my head, so really good movie. I should probably watch it again, honestly. I had a great time with Wonka, and that is why it is number 4 on my list. Coming in at number 3, we have American Fiction. This was a great premise. I loved this premise. And I think its viewpoints and commentary were practically made for me as well, and what it has to say. I particularly loved that the arguable climax of the film is Issa Rae's character challenging everything that the film has had to say up to this point, or at least challenging what Monk's viewpoint has been throughout the whole film. I think that was just a good way to kind of bring up the idea that this is a certain way of thinking about things, but there are other viewpoints that it can be interpreted as well. It's not necessarily this one way is the correct view to see everything. I think the final shot is probably the best final shot on this entire list as well. I feel like it was such a perfect way to end the film, just without any dialogue. I won't spoil what it is, but definitely I recommend watching this one, given that it's number 3 on my list as well. It's probably my favorite satire film ever. I just like seeing the premise pretty much just like play out throughout the film, and how things like escalate over time as it becomes this like unwieldy thing that he needs to continue to have this character that he's playing be writing this book, and, you know, dealing with the success of what he's created, effectively. Coming in at number 2 is a movie that I watched 4 times in cinemas. I rarely watch a film in theaters more than once, but this one I watched 4 times. This was Barbie. I think this movie pulls off so much without fumbling the bag, all while being like a mainstream accessible film at the same time, which is a incredible feat to pull off. It's definitely not for everyone, though. I will say you need to be able to suspend disbelief and just roll with it, as it is quite surrealist throughout, in terms of, like, if you need an airtight plot and a logical series of events that play out, then the movie will definitely not be for you. That's not what this movie is. It's a lot more kind of just a looser framework to hang these like ideas and concepts on, basically. And that worked for me, but I can definitely see it not working for other people who prefer something much more grounded and tactile, basically, that's like this tangible, like understandable plot. This is Will Ferrell's funniest role in probably over a decade. He made me laugh so much in this. I thought he was cast pretty well, and just like the material he's given to work with, he does a great job of. So Will Ferrell was definitely hilarious in this. If I had to give it any criticism, I would say that it suffers from some plot conveniences where things just magically work or click into place just so they can keep the story rolling. That took me out of it a teensy bit, but like this is number 2 on my list, so I freaking love this. I gave it like 4.5 stars. I definitely recommend, if you haven't seen it, which would shock me, but I recommend watching the Barbie movie. And so we move on to number 1. This was actually the last movie from 2023 that I made before watching this list, and I am sure glad that I watched it. This was Past Lives. This was such a heart-wrenching movie. Some of the best acting I've ever seen. The chemistry is overwhelming between the 2 leads, and you can tell how they feel for each other in every scene with every line of dialogue. You could put the film on mute, and just by like their body language and glances, you can tell how they feel for each other. The score or soundtrack is great. It's very gentle and meshes well with the feeling that the movie is going for. It's not very overt, but it just like complements the film perfectly. It is such a simple story, but it just appeals to our base understanding of love, and it's executed so well. It all just works and flows. I'm getting worked up just thinking back on it now, but yeah, it was a really good movie, and I absolutely recommend watching Past Lives, because I can't believe I nearly missed it. I nearly didn't watch it before I made this list, but I'm glad I did, because it absolutely deserves number 1 on my list. I'm getting worked up thinking about that movie again. Goddamn. But yes, that was our top 10 for 2023. Again, if you like this video, please give it a like and comment below what your thoughts are. If there's anything you agree with, anything you disagree with, what your favorite movies were, if I missed anything, because I probably missed at least one movie from 2023 that was really good. So if I did, drop a comment, let me know. But thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
Everywhere, free rolls in my belt, hey.